So, colleagues, greetings again. We
Рад в
continue.
такой день выступать перед вами на этой
Today we
конференции.
continue
Я
our
надеюсь,
day
что
and we
прежде
have
все успели
second
перекусить, и
part of
сейчас вы в
our
хорошем расположении духа. Меня
reports.
зовут
And
Kulakov
we have
Антон,
Anton
я эксперт по
Kulakov
TRIZ,
according to the
решаю
line,
сложные производственные и
timeline and
технические
schedule. So
задачи.
his
Промпт-инженер
preach is a
и
bit, his
профессионально попадаю в TRIZ.
speech is a bit
Последние несколько лет wmiесте с коллегами
change taming
развиваю проект
artificial
TRIZ.
intelligence for
Не
trees
успел сделать
projects.
об
Thank you
этом
very
видео,
much for
даже не видео,
this
а довольно сильно
opportunity.
упомянул.
And
И
colleagues,
скажу
I'm
только,
very
что на
glad
сегодняшний
to
день более
talk to
500
you
проектов
at this very
выполняется с
day at this
помощью
conference.
плагина
I
TRIZ
hope that
в таких
everyone
компаниях, как
were
Uppsala и
able
N+.
was able to get
Из
some
моего
snack during the
выступления
break.
вы
So I'm
узнаете, как
Anton
с
Kulakov. I'm
помощью
tree
TRIZ и простых
master,
языковых
and I'm
моделей
resolving
сократить значительно
difficult
время
technical
на
projects.
выяснение
And
и
I'm prompt
уточнение
and
проблемной
engineer
ситуации.
and professionally I teach
Сумеет
trees.
ли
So
искусственный
within the
интеллект, в
last
частности большая
next
языковая
years,
модель,
I'm been
провести анализ
developing
проблемной
Campina
ситуации
trees
не хуже,
project.
чем
So
человек?
Anton
И какие
Michael
дополнительные возможности дает использование
already
искусственного
talked about
интеллекта в
this. So
Campina
about
TRIZ для
500
эффективного
projects
выполнения
already implemented
проекта и для
in
руководителей
Campina trees in
профессиональной
Rusal
частности.
and in other companies. So
Прежде чем мы начнем,
with my speech, you will
я
find out
уверен,
how we can
что
reduce
среди
the
нас
resources
есть
needed to
те, кто
clarify
когда-либо
problematic
давал задание
situations
другому
using trees
человеку.
and large
И
language
абсолютно
models.
точно есть
Can
люди,
AI
которые сами решали
perform
сложные,
a high
запутанные
quality
проблемные
analysis of a
ситуации.
problem
И на
situation,
100% я
in
уверен,
particular
что среди
language model?
аудитории
What
есть те, кто
additional opportunities
использовал уже
does the
большие
use of
языковые
language
модели
models in
для
Campino
решения
trees
каких-то
open up
проблем.
for a
И все
project
мы можем
leader and
отметить,
for
что
effective
от
implementation of the
точного и
project?
полного описания проблемной ситуации зависит
Before we
количество часов
start,
и
I'm
сколько времени
sure
будет
that
потрачено на
we have
решение
some
проблемы,
people
вне
in
зависимости
our
от того,
audience
решает эту
who gave
проблему
some
человек или
tests to
искусственный
other
интеллект.
people. And there are some people who
Зачастую описание
by
проблемной
themselves were
ситуации
resolving
выглядит как два
complicated
слабо
situations.
связанных
And
факта.
by
Голос
100%, I
и
agree
звук.
that there are some people who
Если
use big language
человеку
models
задать
to
вопрос,
resolve
какие у вас
some
есть проблемы, то
problems.
8 из 10
And we
ответят,
all
что
can
что-то
state that
такое
from
пространное,
description
неточное,
of the problem to the
размытое.
resolution of
Ну,
it,
например, если на
we know
производстве
how
задать
much
кому-то
time will
вопрос,
it take
какие у вас
to
есть проблемы,
resolve
то
this problem.
получишь
It
наверняка
doesn't matter
такой же
whether
ответ,
AI or
как
human
обучить
does that.
нового работника работать правильно
Very
в
often,
данной
description
ответственной
of the
ситуации.
problematic
Вот
situation
такая
looks like
формулировочка
the
ни много
set
ни мало
of
вселенского масштаба.
slightly
А
connected
дальше
facts,
с этой формулировкой нужно
thoughts,
будет
and
работать, нужно
myths,
будет с
assumptions.
пристрастием
So, eight of
допрашивать этого
10
человека,
people will
выяснять, на
say
каких сотрудников
some
нужно,
vague,
почему нужно
some
увеличить, сколько таких
blurred
сотрудников, как
description of the
часто
problem.
это
For
нужно
example, at
делать
the
и так далее,
production,
и так
if you
далее.
ask the question, what
И в
kind of
конечном
problems do you
итоге
have?
выяснится, что
You
вообще
will
там не про
get
обучение
this
идет
answer
речь,
how
а
to
идет
teach
речь
new
о, например,
worker to
отсутствующих или
work properly
устаревших
when you don't
программах
have enough
обучения,
time. So this
отсутствующем компьютерном
formulation
классе или вообще
is of
о
global character,
технологической
you know?
дисциплине,
And
производственной
after that,
дисциплине.
with this formulation, you have to
А
work.
самое печальное в этом, что может оказаться, что проблема
And you
вообще
have
уже
to
по большому
make
счету
interrogation
потеряла свою
at
актуальность,
this
но при
person.
этом время,
So
затраченное
how
на
we
все
can
эти
teach people?
выяснения,
How
уже никто не
many
вернет.
people? How often should we
Исследования
do it? And
показывают,
on and
исследования
on.
в университетах, городских
So then
администрациях
in the end,
и
you'll find out
компаниях
that it's not
показывают,
talking
что
about
около
education and
60%
trainings,
времени
but
решения
about
задач
some old
люди
or
тратят на
absent
переписку и
computer
совещания.
programs, or even
Кажется,
technological
настало
or
время
production
изменить это.
discipline. So
И
the most sad fact
дальше
that
мы
the
сейчас разберемся,
problem
как это может
in
измениться.
a grand
Было
scheme
бы
of
здорово, если
things
бы
is
человек
not
сам
relevant at all.
уточнил
But
свою
all this
проблему.
time which is
Конечно же,
spent
с
for all
доброжелательным,
this
всегда доступным
clarification won't be
помощником,
gotten
который
back.
хорошо начитан, например.
So the research in
И с появлением
city halls and companies
генеративного искусственного интеллекта это стало
show
возможным.
us that 60% of all time for resolution of problem
Самой
people
распространенной
spend
формой
for
описания
correspondence
проблемной
and
ситуации
meetings, you know,
является
and
текст.
it
Даже
seems to be
если
that
на
it's high time
совещании
to change
кто-то
it. So right
выступил,
now we
рассказывал
will
о
try
какой-то
to
проблеме, ведет повествование,
uh,
это в
deal with
конечном
that.
итоге
So
текст.
of course it
Да,
would be
он может
great
быть
if the
слабо
person himself
структурирован,
would
сумбурен и так
clarify
далее,
his
но в
problem
конечном итоге это
himself.
все-таки текст.
Of course, with
А если
some
это текст, то
specific
не
assistant
использовать
who
возможности больших
is
языковых
uh,
моделей для
well
для
well
работы с
skilled in
теми
reading
текстами,
and on and
которые
on.
были
So very
обучены на
much
большом
smart.
количестве выверенных текстов, на мой взгляд, будет просто
And of
преступлением.
course,
Но
with AI,
задействовать
it is
нужно
rather
все снова.
possible. So text is very important here. For example, if during some meeting, some people give some narrative, in the end, it's kind of a text. Maybe it's not very well put and structured, but in general, this is a text anyways. So that's why if it's a text, we have to use uh, language models, which are taught on the huge amount of already uh, verified text, but you have to use it smartly. So then I can offer you some kind of a slight warm-up or engagement in my report. So here you have initial formulation, how we can train a new employee when there is a lack of time to do so. And then in several seconds, what kind of questions would you ask to this person to clarify this very situation? At this very slide, we can see examples of the questions, and most probably you will find some questions which you got in your head. But I will open up a slight secret to you. Those questions were formulated by AI because I asked this problematic situation, and via prompt, this questions were asked to AI. So this dialogue took about 10-15 minutes only. And for me, some prompt was developed, and it allows to make this dialogue with AI. For example, user initially gives some problematic situation. It can be not really well spread, some formal, uh, some local, and then he gives a packet, and then the user, we put this prompt in Campina trees, this packet, this formulation, and it's already available in Campina trees open source to use this very package of some problems, of some questions, and some algorithm. So let's have a look how it works. Not everyone has the opportunity to go down to combinatories as of now. Let's have a look at the example. For example, we have short formulation, which was put by usual person, usual user in his perception, how he perceived this problem. So this formulation was consisted of 28 words. Maybe this problem is not really clear, and you can resolve this problem, but you can go into wrong direction in the resolution. So after dialogue with I through prompt, so the quantity of words increased up to 115, and the quantity of objects increased. So some key things appeared, some reasons of problem appearance, and with the help of questions and answers, AI put it in such formulation. And then with this very description, you can work how to analyze it with TRIZ tools for the description. So now it is more particularized and more in detail and more to the point. And after we implemented such functionality, now the description of the problematic situation looks like that. For example, the person described his problematic situation in some way. Then AI gives him three questions. Rarely it's four or five, but mainly it's like a package of questions, and then user answers to it. And if AI with big language model doesn't get or it doesn't have enough clarity, so then he will add some questions, and on the basis of those questions which were put by the user, then AI will put ready-made clarified problematic situation. And the user will have to agree and approve this formulation, or he will put some adjustments of his. And then the final situation, whether the final description of problematic situation is proper and relevant to the user or not. So then it will be the responsibility of that person. So this dialogue will take about 10-15 minutes. And just recently, we spoke at the Forum of Analytics in Kyrgyzstan. And one of the people in the audience, he found this function in state management uh, option. For example, when citizens address to the governmental bodies, the problem was that people put their complaints in vague manner. So sometimes it is not clear at all what this person wanted to uh, give as information. And then officials, they take a lot of time to clarify the situation. Sometimes they don't get it at all. And so this person said, so then in such a dialogue, initially you can drag this information out of people by those questions. And besides that, AI is pretty tolerant and patient, so he will ask questions without any nerves, without any losing temper. And so this dialogue will take about 10, 15 minutes. Of course, it depends on how the person is informed in his situation by himself. And after we get large developed description of the situation, then we have some steps how to work with it. Of course, you can include the abilities capabilities of big language models, and then you can decompose it by components in such situation. I've checked it out and it works pretty good. So some targeted metrics were separated. Then I've checked prompt on sustainability. Uh, and so it was pretty large breakdown. So this selection was out of the 30 problematic situation, real situations which were put by real people from different industries. And there we could see very much technical problems and also problems of non-technical properties at all. And in 100% of cases, AI defined some targeted metrics and characteristics. And sometimes he said there are no targeted and purposed metrics in the problem. It's very strange, but sometimes it happens. And so objects were defined pretty particular and requests requirements. In 30%, it was some mix out. So sometimes AI put it in one phrase, first and second option. So non-experienced specialists on trees, they face such a problem. But I guess that it we will be able to conquer such a problem. At least I have this intention to develop prompts so that we won't have those confusions. And this very analysis takes about 10, 15 minutes, seconds. So after that, I had a requirement to assess AI by itself, how he put it in components, how he analyzed the situation, and he made it pretty well. So here on this slide, you could see the metrics or evaluation of components on 5 grade scale. So, and this scale is put into prompt as well, and AI sticks to this scale pretty tightly, And I want to draw your attention that he gives also the grounds for it. So I've I put it smaller, all those, decreased all those grounds or foundations or justifications. So you can use those justifications for resolving your problematic situation. So besides we talk with AI in the very beginning, we clarified the situation. After he decomposed it, we could see some gaps in problematic situation. And also we can add the selection of the information to describe it in full. And on the stage of evaluation, also there is another fortress, another wall, while working with problematic situations to clarify it. When you get low grades, so this is a reason to go and to deal with some particular point, item, or you can use some other analytic trees tools to deal with the situation in better way. And
согласиться,
at
может
this
быть,
very
здесь прав.
stage of the game, we
Но
have some
так
function
как
which will be interesting for the
в
heads of TRIZ
алгоритмы
project.
Камфина
This
зашли
functionality is
очень
not
хорошую карту,
implemented
там
yet.
была
I'm
сделана
giving you
исследовательская
only
работа достаточно
prototype.
большая.
So the dialogue with the
Получается,
AI is
дорожная
already
карта,
implemented, but this
она
evaluation is
имеет
not
достаточно
implemented
высокую
yet.
точность, потому
So
что там
after
алгоритм
getting
сгенерирован
this very
опытом
evaluation
многих
by
руководителей
pressing the
TRIZ-проектов,
button building
уже
roadmap,
проанализирован не один
then
десяток проектов,
user or
сделанных этот
the
год.
project
И
head will
поэтому
get
эта дорожная
roadmap
карта имеет достаточно
completely
высокую точность.
generated
И ее можно
automatically.
как
Of
бы в
course,
таком виде, в
he can
котором она
approve
сейчас
it
есть,
or
ее
he
уже
can
можно
fine
использовать.
tune it, or
Получается, что теперь, если сейчас Камфина вы
because
строите
there
дорожную
is an
карту
algorithm of
автоматизированную,
research in
то
Campino
есть вам там
trees.
нужно что-то еще вводить,
That's
добавлять
why
там самим
this
компоненты,
very
самим объектам
roadmap
и
is
выявлять
very
метрики,
This
precise.
roadmap
оценку самим проводить, то
has
теперь
this
это делать
precision
будет
because
искусственный интеллект,
we have
а
analyzed
вы будете только за ним
dozens of
внедряться. И
projects
если вам
which
что-то не
have been
устраивает
implemented.
с вашей
Now,
позиции, вы
this
можете
roadmap
разбираться
is
и
quite
корректировать.
precise, and
Поэтому
you can use
процесс
this in this
построения дорожной
format
карты может
already.
вообще занимать до 5 минут, и при этом
In
пользователь
Campino trees,
будет
you create an
оценивать эту
automatic
карту уже
roadmap,
на достаточно
which
высоком
means
уровне, на
that you
уровне
can add
опыта
something,
руководителей проекта.
maybe adding some elements,
Итак,
identifying
теперь мы
metrics, and
имеем
perform the assessment.
простой
Now
и
AI can do all
доступный
that, while
инструмент
you will be just supervising the
уточнения и
process. If you
анализа
don't like
проблемных
anything,
ситуаций, проблемной
as you
ситуации.
think, you can always
Написали
intervene
периодические
and
формулировки,
make
ответили
changes.
на вопросы,
So
если
this
дал
is how
фидбэк.
this roadmap
Может
building
быть, еще раз
process looks like. Right
еще
now,
один
it can
раунд
take up
вас
to 5 minutes
проанализирует
right now,
вопросы.
and the quality
Но
of the
после
roadmap
двух-трех раундов вы
will be
получаете уже
quite
определенную формулировку,
elevated,
сделанную на основе ваших
will be at the
ответов,
level of
где вы
experienced project
соглашаетесь,
managers.
либо не соглашаетесь и
Now, we
добавляете.
have
И
a very
после
simple
этого, опять же, большая
and
языковая модель, она
available
может вам все
tool
проанализировать,
to
оценить и
clarify
получить в
and
конечном
analyze
итоге
a
автоматизированном
situation.
режиме дорожную
So we
карту для
write
всех
the initial
проектов.
formulation, we answer the language model's clarifying questions,
Ну и уже ближе к
we can
заключению я хотел бы сказать,
take
что
another
большие
round of
языковые
questions
модели
and answers.
строятся
Then after
и
that, after two or three
общаются
rounds,
с
you
промптами,
get a
которые вы
clarified
можете
problem
видеть под
formulation
кодом,
based on
в
your
разы, а то и в
responses.
десятки раз
You either accept
сокращает
it
время
or
на уточнение
decline it, reject it, and
проблемных
add something.
ситуаций.
And then after that,
И вот это уточнение
you
приведет
verify the
в итоге
result.
к тому,
The
что
LLM helps you analyze the
сэкономится
result,
еще столько
assess
же
it, and
времени
then in an automatic
при
mode,
выполнении
you
сложных
derive a
проектов.
trees
Вы можете чуть
project
больше
roadmap.
сэкономиться. На экране сейчас висит QR-код, вы можете
To conclude, I'd
отсканировать
like
и
to
сохранить у себя
add
ссылку на
that
Камфина 3,
large
где
language
есть
models enhanced by
немножко
prompt
тем
engineering involving prompts integrating
мобильной
trees
инженерной
approaches can
разработки.
reduce the time
Но
needed to
единственное,
obtain a
что
clear
там
and precise
придется
problem
заранее
description several
нажмите
fold,
кнопку
sometimes by an
«Добавить»
order of
если на
magnitude.
версию
This in
переходите, на
turn
мобильной версии
saves
Камфина
us
3
a lot of
поддержки
time.
нет.
You
Иначе она
save a
просто
lot of
автоматически
time during project
работает без
execution
разработки,
based
если
on
вы
that,
будете
or maybe you
нажать
can even
текущую
save
версию.
even more time with these
Итак,
toolkits. You
теперь
see a QR code on
я
the screen. You can
немножко по выводам пройдусь. Да?
um,
С помощью TRIZ и больших
browse the
языковых
website
моделей возможно значительно
trizcompino.tech.
сократить время
It
на
works on a
уточнение
mobile device, or you can use this
проблемной
QR
ситуации.
code,
Если раньше
but
это
you
все
will need
могло
to
бы
press
растянуться
three
на какую-то
dots on a
долгую
smartphone to
переписку,
use the desktop version because
поиск
there is no mobile version for
каких-то
the Campino Trees
дополнительной
website
информации,
available, because otherwise
и
it won't
причем
work. It
со
will
столь
be worked
нерелевантной
incorrectly if you
информацией, такое тоже
use
бывает,
the
что
mobile
по
version
проблеме начинают собирать
mode.
нерелевантную информацию ситуации,
A few
то
words about the
с
conclusions.
конкретными вопросами от искусственного
With trees
интеллекта
and
эти
large language
переписки
models,
сокращаются,
it is
время
possible to
сокращается,
clarify
и
problem
подход к
situations
проблемной ситуации
quicker,
становится точнее
and the
после такого
process looks
диалога.
more straightforward. Before that, it
Следующее–
might
это языковая модель,
lead to a
способная
lot of
проанализировать проблемную
correspondence
ситуацию за счет
rounds or
заметного
sessions
темпа.
looking for additional information.
Ну, не лучше, но не хуже точно
This
специалиста
information collection
первого
could
уровня,
be
как минимум,
related
и
to
после этого еще сама
collecting
себя
irrelevant
оценивать.
information. This
Однако
could be the
имейте в
case
виду, что там разные
based on
проблемы, и
specific
искусственный
questions
интеллект
on
находится в
AI.
разных
These
районах. В первом случае он
time for
находится в
search
аналитике, а во
reduces,
втором случае,
so you
когда он
spend
является жестким
less time on
конфликтом,
that, and the
в
problem
высокой
situation
ответственности.
is then
И он
clarified
сам
after such
себя
a dialogue.
оценивает.
Then after
Это
that,
я так говорю,
a
что он
language
сам себя
model can
оценивает. На
analyze a
самом деле
problem
это
situation
другой
as
процесс,
efficiently
другой промпт.
as possible with
И на
those
основании этих оценок
components derived,
и с учетом
and
тех
this can be at the
алгоритмов,
level
которые
of
зашиты в
level
камерах
2
TRIZ,
specialists, and then
дорожные
it can
карты
assess the
TRIZ
result
теперь
itself.
будут уже у нас в
But you need
автоматическом
to
режиме.
consider that
И в
there
будущем
are different
году, я
prompts,
думаю,
and
что в
AI
начале
can
будущего года
play
вот этот
the
конкретный
role of an
инструмент
analyst,
будет уже
or
доступен
when
широкому кругу
there is a
пользователей
critic
в
role
открытой
kicked in, it
версии
can
Камфина
be
3.
playing the world of a critical expert, but this is a different process and a different prompt that must be used for that. Based on these clarifications, based on these assessments and those algorithms that are integrated in the Campino TRIZ algorithm, based on the roadmap of TRIZ projects, that they will be working in automatic mode. And early next year, I believe, this functionality will be implemented and available for all users, and it will be available in the open Campino TRIZ version. With that, I'd like to close. My time is still not up, I have not run out of time. These are my contacts. If you have specific questions for this topic, you can text me to my email address. You see the QR codes to my channels. So if you want, you can join and see what I'm doing informally. So again, I am confident that you now have more information. If you have any ideas, please write to me, and we'll be able to work together to test a product and derive some experience out of that, and we will work on that. We develop improve prompts continuously. If there is an issue, for that we need a catalog, and we stick to the basics that were introduced by Mr. Altschuler for research in our work. So we use catalogs, we use different catalogs. All those results that you see, they are based on catalogs in any way. I thank you for your attention, and now I can take your questions.
И вот за короткий этот срок удалось все-таки как-то приручить, найти путь к сердцу, как говорится.
And I see that you are looking forward to questions. There will be some questions from the chat, and also asked orally. I have a quick comment from my side. I remember the times which were quite recent when LLMs emerged with ChatGPT kicking in, and many colleagues were not aware on how to work with this thing because it committed mistakes. Through this short time, we could find a way to interact with these systems, so we found a way to debunk their hearts. Do you think it will have some kind of autonomy in the near future when it comes to revolution and all that? Well, we don't make it independent because those values we have as people are the values obtained by people. And of course, we need to be able to supervise the results of AI activities. And there is this dichotomy of whether we accept it, verify it or not. AI can generate information much quicker than a person, but this is a challenge which might confront the mankind going forward, and we'll be able to face it and overcome it. Thank you. We will be looking at this process. We have a number of questions using LLMs. Maybe you can give us more details. The main task. What is the main task for that? Rustam Aminov is asking this question. Well, we tried. So if you just put this in any language model, offering a problem for that and ask it to use TRIZ to solve a problem, it will use TRIZ, but there will be nothing that much related to TRIZ. LLMs only have surface knowledge about TRIZ, and they are incorrect. This knowledge is incorrect. This leads to very surfacing solutions, and this generates weak solutions. Prompt engineering in this area is such an addition over an LLM. Without prompt engineering, this will be working much worse, and maybe it will cause just confusion out of that. This is related to our activities. The most of the work we did was related to research. We performed R&I, looking at different LLMs, working with different prompts, how they behave, how they respond to these prompts, because again, we face situations when an LLM was not efficient, ignoring some points in a prompt, and we had to overcome these issues too. I don't think that LLMs will be guiding the process. Of course, they provide the basics, but again, prompt gives us these setup, and we need to use this setup to be able to work further to make this process for TRIZ more efficient, backed by AI. Thank you. Alexander Bushuev asks a question describing a problem he has, if it's possible to handle it in Campino trees. And I suggested that he tried it himself, but possibly you could just have this high-level assessment. The problem is, if you have a patent with a formula and a description, so based on that, you will need to derive a new solution to be able to manufacture product protected by the new solution. Again, there is this no contradiction here because the prototype is working. What about the way how we use Campino for that? We can test how it will work. Mikhail Semyonovich has mentioned something about forecasting, which is possible to be developed. We don't have the scenario there because there's not yet part of software. It can be implemented. We as developers, designers, and Mikhail Semyonovich is one of the developers. So using the modules that are available, we can work with the modules, develop these modules, but this is not user-friendly. There is no forecasting module currently available, but we can try. We can try to describe this problem for Campino, and then using forecasting tools, we could derive some kind of solution. Anton, I put the text from Mr. Bushuev in Campino trees. Campino trees provided the result, and I've sent it. I've shared that to the text, to the chat, saying that there is no contradiction. So this means we will need to elaborate the wording, which is again a common work. You need to clarify the wording for a problem situation first to be able to clarify the task. And well, it's highly probable that this task, this problem, goes beyond the functionality which is currently available at Campino. Looking at the forecasting, so this module most probably will be available only next year. We only can do that manually right now. Now, colleagues, what about prompts? Should we move on? If there is a general problem, how can AI be instrumental? For example, we have a question from Sergei Dmitriev. There is a competing firm manufacturing the same product, but its production cost is 15% lower. How can we address this problem? So you can put that to Campino trees, and AI will ask you questions to clarify this problem situation, asking you questions about your company, industry, and about your competitors, and also asking more questions. A technical question from Mikhail Dolganov. Anton, thank you so much. So when you create prompts for Campino, do you use improver tools? When I design prompts, I use AI toolkits and possibilities offered by LLMs. When I create a prompt for DeepSeek, I use DeepSeek for a prompt. So I tried prompt DeepSeeks, use them in other language models. After some tries, I saw that they also worked well. Further on prompts, prompts plus LLMs, we can see that in different areas we might need prompts if we, combine an understandable world model out of that, maybe viewed by a person 25 years of age. So are you planning to create such a template? We are not planning to draft such a template. There is a question from Alexander Bortsov. In the short term, will TRIZ enhance the quality of protected designs in Russia and globally? I can refer you to other sources to respond to this question. Mikhail Semyonovich delivered a good speech at the Analytics Forum on forecasting and using AI for forecasting. This forecast was derived by means of AI and TRIZ tools. The trend there was that the number of patents that were filed, that can be filed by means of AI, will be
Дальше можете обучаться
growing.
действительно с учетом
Verifying these
технологий.
patents can be
Переходим к
done via
следующему.
AI, with
Спасибо.
AI, because
Да, спасибо.
not
Александр,
any
добрый
department or
теперь.
company or